We're going to turn now to social movements that made headlines in 2019. Black Lives Matter began as a protest against police killings of black people and expanded to include broader issues such as racial profiling and inequality. The Me Too movement was founded to help survivors of sexual violence, especially women and girls of color. Both have grown in popularity thanks to social media, but has there been real change? This is a subject that I struggle a lot with. Like, are we making progress, especially many years now after Black Lives Matter sort of really took root? Are things better for black people?
You know, Stephen, I am the son of two parents that were both in law enforcement. And so I actually uniquely understand both sides. My dad was a state trooper, my mother was a Detroit police officer. I think the challenge is with those issues, when we talk about Black Lives Matter, that also means with other black people too. And so we can't hold white folks or officers accountable when we've got killings and massacres in places like Chicago.
Yes,
One has nothing to do with
Places like Chicago.
One has nothing to do with the other.
You can still hold them accountable.
Everyone needs to be held accountable.
Everybody might need to be held accountable.
But that has nothing to do with everybody. That has nothing to do with the movement.
If you give them a gun and you give them the
And
power,
responsibility.
the problem is that for the last 25 years, our country has decided everybody's going to be tough on crime, which is why we have black police officers and white police officers doing crazy stuff and acting as bullies every single day.
And if
that's got to stop. And we're not there
shoots
yet.
me on the street, then there's a likelihood that Pookie's going to be punished for it. But if a cop shoots me, almost always
That is a
he's
great
gonna-
point.
Everyone should be
That is
held
a really
accountable.
great point.
So
Of course, but
whether or not
nobody's disputing that. No one is disputing that.
Whether or not it's effective, I think it's increased awareness, but the answer is no, because we still have behaviors of road cops that are doing things and getting away with it. And so it's unfortunate, but it goes back to the people that we have in position, whether elected or appointed, that we're not holding accountable.
You see what you just said? You said rogue. Here's the problem. It's not rogue. They're trained. They're at the academy. They're told
but they're not.
this behavior, in order for it to go from one department to another, for it to be every state and every department, it's not rogue.
Well,
That's what
I
we're
think,
taught.
but I think it is, because this is my thing. If you have a bad person, then that person's going to be a bad professional. So if you have a person that's a racist, that is now a police officer that's afraid of black people, then so maybe that's the wrong word,
No,
but they're trained to protect and serve.
But the point is, the people who are standing up as the leaders of law enforcement, the law enforcement community, when they have opportunities to say this is a bad apple, he makes all law enforcement people look bad. No, not only they're not quiet, they defend nonsense. They defend the murder of African American, particularly African American men. I've almost never seen
is Wayne County.
the only that's true.
You've got one good prosecutor out of 83 counties. So you need more prosecutors that actually have said what you did is a crime, and I'm going to send you to jail.
I'll send you to jail for it. But before we run out of time on the subject, I want to get to Me Too. And I want to start with you two, the women on the panel. Is that movement making progress? And is there a difference between the impact it's having on women of color and other women?
Who wants to go first?
Who wants to go first?
I mean, I also think there's backlash with Me Too. I think that it's an opportunity for some men to feel like they're being victimized rather than looking at, how misogyny, how rape culture plays out, and really taking a look at what we can do so that my son and your son and this next generation is, no one is saying that you have to be Alan Alda, like this sensitive, loving,
That's not a bad.
Yeah, it's a bad habit.
How many people will get that reference, right?
I'm old, right?
We're
That's what I
old.
just proved with that reference, that I'm an old person. But I knew Brandon wouldn't know. But I mean, the point is, you don't have to be. No one is saying that everyone has to be, this kind of girly man or whatever other people try to frame it as. I think what we're saying is the kind of behavior that you would want for your daughter, for your wife, for your. Why would you not demand that
So go do
of
that
other
everywhere.
people? So this idea, I see now that where Oprah's being castigated because she's calling out folks. Well, everyone should be called. Why are black women left unprotected?
Yeah.
When black women are victimized, I feel like there is an effort on behalf, particularly of black men, to rally around whoever's been accused, whether or not that person. That's why
We
R.
have
Kelly got
seen
away
that
with it.
R. Kelly.
R.
We've seen
Kelly
that
for
with some of
years.
the
It was
others.
a joke. People were making jokes about him and how he was treating 13-year-old girls for years until finally Dreamhampton, Detroit's own, did a documentary that really showed the depravity of this man's
was
actions. And then
going on.
finally people said, oh, well, I guess he's not that great.
I gotta turn off that music.
But they
right?
still bought his music.
And they're
Go ahead,
still
Karen.
listening to it. But
That's right.
that's the thing. I mean, I do think that it has increased a level of awareness and a consciousness. And I'm going to stick my neck out and say, hopefully, a consciousness on both sides, because I do think that men have to be aware of their behaviors, of their practices, and the possible interpretation. Intent and interpretation are not always the same thing. And then on this side, we've got to understand how we carry ourselves. It's not blaming the victim, but also in terms of speaking up and knowing that we have a system behind us that will protect us
Right.
if in fact those accusations are right. On the flip side of that, we've seen a lot of people wrongfully accused, misaccused, losing their
No, that's
So-
not true.
Well,
If you look
yeah.
at FBI
Well,
statistics,
no.
about 4%
I
of-
meant in terms of people misinterpreting or interpreting actions of some men,
That's right.
saying, hey, this was, if they feel violated, then it is wrong.
I agree with
But
Karen.
it's-
I mean, it has brought out
but
more
it has to
awareness.
go both
I'm
ways.
a lot more aware of that. Some of the behaviors that I had in the past, I shouldn't do now. But at the same time, they are definitely.
We're just in the green room together. You really want to go
attacks
turn the phone off?
Speak for yourself,
It
Butter.
attacks people like Joe Biden when the things that he does is innocent. And he should not be caught up in the middle of
But
something.
intent and interpretation, and those things don't
Big
always
difference.
align.
And
Or
when you're
know
talking
your
about
audience.
the
A lot of
gender
it is know your
difference,
audience, because there are people that Joe Biden might have known for 20 years that he could stroke their hair
Right.
and they would be completely comfortable with it. But don't come stroke my hair because I don't know you. Like
I don't know you like that.
You have to respect
you
the
like
personal
that.
space.
Right,
Right, with
and that's just
everybody.
being able to gauge a situation and the appropriateness of your action. In certain
Brandon, we've got
situations.
30 seconds for you to.
I think
weigh
it's
in
know
on
your
this.
audience again. The other thing is, I think this really goes back to fatherhood, because it's, as he's a father, I'm not. It's his responsibility as a dad to inform his son the do's and don'ts,
Yeah.
and just to respect women.
Right.
On the flip side to that, if a father has a daughter, he's got to be honest with her and say, this is how your dress or how you act can be misinterpreted
Yeah.
and misrepresented.
All right.
But the
so-
father has to know in order to teach.
Father does
in
have to
order
know.
to teach,
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Can't teach what you don't
Right,
know.
because R. Kelly has children.
Sadly.
Hello,
Don't-
somebody.
Now that just scared the entire audience, right?